Hello to future. For the next few minutes, I will be explaining about URI and query params. First, we will be seeing about URI params. URI params. What is a URI? U stands for uniform, R stands for resource, I stands for identifier. URI parameters in Springboot are a way to pass data or information through the URL of a web page. For example, if you have a web page that display information about a product, you can use URI parameters to pass the product ID through the URL. So instead of having separate page for each product, you can use a single page and dynamically change the information based on the product ID passed in the URL. In Spring Boot, URI parameters are defined using the path variable annotations in the controller class. This annotation tells Spring Boot to map the URI parameters to a method parameters in the controller path. Once mapped the controller, the method can then use the parameter to perform the necessary logic and return the response to the client. So this is the example which we can pass by slash using path variable. So we're going to next slide. So here we seeing URL, URN, URI, right? URI, URL, and URN are related concepts, but they have different meanings. URI, as we know, standard form, and it is a string of characters used to identify a name or a resource on the internet. URIs are divided into two categories: URLs and URNs. Right? URL stands for Uniform Resource Locator, and it is a type of URI that identifies the location of a resource on the internet. A URL typically includes a protocol such as HTTP or FTP, a domain name, a path or to the resource, and sometimes query parameters. And finally, URN, Uniform Resource Name, is a type of Uniform Resource identifier that provides a persistent and unique name for a resource. Okay, in the simple words, a URN is like a unique or unique and a permanent name for a resource on the internet. Yes. Query params. What are query parameters? Query parameters in Spring Boot are a way to pass additional information to a web server. When making an HTTP request, query parameters are a set of key value pairs that are appended to the end of a URL in the form of a query string. Right? This is the query string. For example, if you have a web page that display a list of products, you can use query parameters to filter the results based on certain criteria. So instead of displaying all products, you can display only those that match a specific category or a price range. In Spring Boot, query parameters are defined using the request param. In URI params, we use path variable annotation, but we are using request param annotation in the controller class. This annotation tells Spring Boot to extract the query parameters value from the HTTP request and map it to a method parameter in the controller method. Okay. Once mapped, the controller method can use the query parameters value to perform the necessary logic and returns the response to the client. Query parameters can be used in various HTTP methods such as get, post, put, and delete to provide additional information or modify data on the server side. Okay. Now we will be seeing demonstration of URI and query params. So here we use REST controller, right? REST controller annotation, it is class will handle incoming HTTP request and return a response in a format that can be consumed by other application. And we are also use here get mapping annotation. We get mapping annotation which method to call uh, which method we to call when a get request is made to certain URL. And we are also using request and path variable we have seen in the PPT, right? And here the main annotation, yeah, here Springboot application, and finally which contains Springboot application annotation, which class contains the main method that should be executed when the application starts. Okay. Uh, as of now, I written the arithmetic operation logic. You all know about this, right? Here, the ID, which is enclosed in a curly braces, it represents a placeholder for a dynamic value, right? That will be passed in the URL. URI parameters are used to pass dynamic values to a web server. In the example, the num1, right? Here the num1 parameter represents the ID of a specific product. Here I written for num1 minus num2, num1 plus num2. So this can be performed. Now I'm going to Postman to execute. Okay, we will start restarting. Start. Right. Oof. Oh. Restart. Yes. Now you can see the which we written here. The it is running in the Tomcat server. The port address is 8080, right? Which we will be calling in Postman the same. Okay. Here I am calling with the port address 8080. First, I will be passing URI params. Uh, URI params. The actual value of the parameter will be provided in the URL at runtime. So here I'm passing in place of num1 ID and num2, passing an integer values, some value. Oh, right. I'm hitting send button. See, I got here status as a 200, which means success, and I got the answer here, right? Uh, if I use it to pass another right like this post 405, which means the method is not allowed, right? It will give the status what you have done, right? Okay, this is about URI params. Now I will be passing query params. query params. Num1, sorry, num1 equal to, I'm giving some value, right? And num2 equal to some value. Okay. The syntax for query parameter includes question mark character after the base URL, followed by a series of key value pairs. Uh, by the AND character, each key value pair consists of a key or parameter name uh, and a value separated by the character. Right? I'm hitting this. Yeah, here you can see the answer, and the sheet is also 200. So this is about the URI and query params. Thank you.